Item 4. Director Ferry, you had requested
Yes,
this item to be pulled.
yes, I did. Item 4 is the annual park impact fee report. And for those who don't know, it's on page 16, which I'm going to turn to real quick. Already there. I've had a problem for about 6 months trying to figure out where all the money is and where it goes and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's important for us to actually know these things. So a park impact fee is what's paid by a developer per house to build the parks that we have in our community. I'm going to use an example, Blackstone. Blackstone in today's market would be paying $13,496, pardon me, per household for any new homes they're bringing on. If you go back 5 years, that number is probably closer to about $7,000 because it was smaller and it literally in the early 2000s was as low as $2,000 or so. And that would have been Serrano, not Blackstone, because Blackstone didn't come along then. In any case, when we spend that money, and we built 2 parks down there. We built a park on a 15-acre parcel. At 13 acres of it was watershed, so we got a 2-acre parcel that we actually built. And then we built about a 5-acre parcel that has we call it the giant wall in front of it because it was a piece of land that had a serious drop to it. My question isn't what the parks cost. I do have one thing about that. When we're spending public money, we're supposed to get a public property. We're also supposed to pay, I believe, and our attorney's over here, she can address this if I'm incorrect, but I believe that we're supposed to pay prevailing wage for our parks. And if we don't build the parks, that the builder of the park, the developer, is still required to pay prevailing wage. I think that's true, and maybe you could check that for us between now and next month. Considering that, we now have these parks, they've been built, and we have X number of dollars that came in to build them, call it $13 million. We built them for maybe $7 million. We have a delta between those numbers that I am finding impossible to find. And I know it's in the book somewhere. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I just can't find it. Because if there in fact is money there for Blackstone, it's not for Serrano, it's for Blackstone, then we have other property in Blackstone that we could maybe develop or whatever, but we need to know those numbers as a board. And I don't know them, and I don't know anybody that's come to me so far and said, here's what it's all about. Does that make sense? So that was my reason for bringing this up. For instance, we provide the numbers on what we're spending to maintain properties. I'm not sure that maintenance should be coming out of park impact fees. I'm not saying it shouldn't, but generally speaking, maintenance comes out of Mello-Roos. That's why you have, when you get a Mello-Roos on a property, you have one that built it, one that maintains it. So I'm not sure how that works, and I'll leave that for the finance department probably to call me in the morning and say, Ferry, you need instruction, boy. In any case, and I'm willing to take it. One of the parts that was bothersome to me in all this, but we have a fee in there, I'm not going to look it up, but we have a fee in there for $54,000 to admin fee for these parks. And I'm looking at it going, I know we have the admin fee. I don't doubt we should have an admin fee because we have work to do. And I don't know when the admin fee was set, but I think we ought to find out when it was set, why it was set, because the board sets these fees. We're responsible for these fees. When money's coming in and going out around here, this board is supposed to be given it the stamp of approval, not the rubber stamp. The stamp of approval, meaning that we actually understand and know what we're looking at. So that's why I wanted to bring this out. If there's any questions from the finance department, they want to talk to me later, that's fine. Or if anybody wants to speak to this now, that'd be fine too.
Well, so I did prepare in anticipation of this item being pulled. If you like, I can make my way through that. It will be making my way through the actual report that was presented in the packet itself and kind of the basis of why we do it.
Sure.
Okay. So sorry, everybody, I am Kara Lane. I'm the district senior accountant. I am presenting to you tonight in our director's place. She is away out of the country on vacation. So you get to give me tonight. Okay, so let's start with why do we do this report? The Government Code Section 66006B1 states that 66006 states that we need to create this report. The report is to be brought to the public within 180 days of the last day of the fiscal year. That date for fiscal year 24, which ended on June 30, is December 27th. So the section in the Government Code also lists the requirements, the contents of the report, which it's not coming up as well as I had hoped it would with the projected screen. But basically, in a nutshell, what I've done is taken each section of that B1 in the Government Code and broken out the reason why the first 2 pages of the report are organized the way they are. Look at my notes because, sorry guys. First section is a brief description of the type of the counter fund. So why is the district collecting park impact fees? And basically, it's for the improvement and expansion of new parks and recreation facilities to accommodate future growth. What's the amount of the fee? We have that listed out here. These are the fees that started June 10th of 2023 after they were ratified by the County Board of Supervisors. And then the beginning and ending balances of the accounts. So I just want to make note that this account is actually held at El Dorado County. They're not funds that we have here at the district. We account for them, but they are not funds that we physically hold. The district receives a reimbursement of these funds after an expenditure has been made for an improvement, as we described in the brief description. Fees collected during the next sections for fees collected and interest earned. The fees collected in fiscal year 24 were approximately $2.6 million, and interest earned was approximately $710,000. Then we're asked to provide an identification of each of the public improvements, which fees were expended, and how much those were. That's the list there. These are our current CIP projects. Director Ferry, you did mention the CSD admin fee. We will get you more information on that for sure. And then the next page, Taylor, please. Okay, and then the next section talks about we need to identify when we believe construction will begin on each of the projects. So we have listed that out. And that last one, in the case of the Valley View Village Park South, which is actually the Blackstone Village Park, that had been nearing completion. We're working through punch list items with that contractor. And then the last section is a description of the transfers or loans between the funds that are in the account. You'll see that general fund amount, that's basically the amounts that the general fund has paid for projects that we're waiting on reimbursement back from the county on, as well as the amounts that are listed for the other, those have been expended but not requested yet from the county, which that request will be preparing and sending over. And then there were no refunds made by us or by the county during the time frame. Let's see, let's get my notes here really fast. The county does have a deadline of October 1st for the district to present this report to them. That report consists of the first 2 pages, which I've kind of outlined here, as well as 2 other summary pages. I just want to make everyone aware that these reports are coming from a template that we do receive from El Dorado County. So we are providing that information that the county has requested of us. We did receive the final fiscal year 24 reports from El Dorado County in the evening of September 6th, after the meeting was publicized for September 12th. That is why tonight's meeting is the first meeting we're able to bring this report forward to the board. We did give this report to El Dorado County on September 24th, and they did confirm receipt. So we have complied with their request.
So Kara, if I
Yes,
may
sir.
interrupt, great job you're doing. Let me give you a question I got from a neighbor. He lives in Blackstone. Says, how much did you spend on the 2 parks? So I don't really know. I can look it up.
Sure.
And so I'll ask you, how much did we spend on those 2 parks? You may not have it right now, and I understand that, but we'll bring that back at another time. But number 2, if you spent that money, how much money do you have? This is Blackstone. How much money do you have left of our money sitting in your account to build another park for Blackstone or do something for Blackstone? And that's the separation that I'm looking for, to be able to
Sure.
tell those folks, here's the money we got left for you.
Sure.
That makes sense?
The answer of what remains, because the county provides us with a report that is a pool of funds. We don't have that tonight for you. We can
don't give you the-
certainly find that out.
So the county
We-
doesn't give you an individual.
We have access to data that we can pull,
Okay.
but it is time consuming, which is why we weren't able to be prepared
Okay,
with that number
thank
for
you.
you tonight. Jeff, are you able to speak to?
I can speak to the cost. My name is Jeff Kernan, Principal Planner. Sorry, I'm getting used to the distance of the mics here. I can't speak to the total of the Valley View Sports Park because that was completed 5, 6 years before I was here. But Blackstone Park, as it's known, is right about 5.4 million. So that, I know the sports park was less than that. I just don't know how much less than that.
The sports park was also a developer-delivered park.
Mhm.
There were credits, and we'll get all of that detail together. But I do know that one was a developer-delivered park. We did have some amounts that were approved by the board in addition to that, but we will be happy to prepare that information for you.
So when my
with
neighbor
preparing-
comes up to me and says, how much is left over in our accounts? That's the question I want to get answered. The rest of
Certainly.
it is important. I understand that. And maybe the answer only comes from the auditor controller.
Mhm.
I'm fine with that. But
Well-
we need to know what that balance is, because
Right.
we have monies in every single community that we built parks. And we need to know how much we've got left over, because we have parks yet to build. And one of them, for instance, is Village J Lot H Park. Is there money somewhere that we don't know about? And I'm not saying you don't know about, I'm saying
Sure.
we don't know about. Because we need to know what it is before we can move forward and get stuff done.
Sure.
At least I do.
And like I said, we do have access to information. The reporting process is cumbersome and does take us quite a while to pull that information. But we do have information on permit fees that were collected, of which the impact fee is a permit fee.
Thank you.
We just, unfortunately, not able to do that for you this evening.
And just to follow that up, the park impact fees that are collected are not separated by subdivision or community. So there's not a specific balance for every community. We can tell you what was collected through that cumbersome process of permits from that community by address, because the county allows us to very difficultly go through that reporting process. But park impact fees go into one account, one pool for the district to build new facilities for new residents.
So I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. But you're saying at least it is very difficult to find out what that remaining balance is for any individual community because of the way that we keep our books at the county, not necessarily here.
It's difficult either way because it goes back so far. I think Blackstone started collecting park impact fees late 2000s. So it was like a 10-year and very different amounts each year. But it might be easier to get the reports from the county because even though it's not very organized, at least we can get the exact data. And it wouldn't be, we could get it because we have addresses but there's not a separate fund for each one. We would be able to tell you what was collected, not that it is still in a separate fund.
So Jeff, it's kind of like, it's not like a lighting and landscaping district where each one of those funds
Right.
are accounted for separately.
Right.
The mitigation fee, and thank you for stepping in because I was not understanding because I thought when we collect those mitigation fees, yes, it has to be distributed close. There has to be a nexus and close by.
Right.
But I didn't think that it was something that couldn't be used. It had to be used just in that locale.
Right.
So
it doesn't
thank you
have
for
to be,
clarifying
right.
that.
I mean, there's examples of communities that don't want to build a park because it's like a gated community and they're like, no, we'll just pay fees. We're not building a park in that community. So, but there are new residents that will utilize services and facilities that we'll build facilities for in the community, the overall community. So it's, that's where the decision making of what to build next comes in, and not just focusing on that one subdivision.
And so from the finance perspective too, Director Ferry, the district has a single fund that we record the information that we receive from the county into because we have to keep track of it as well. So we do much like the assessments that are collected, that the park impact fee is a part of those reports that we receive on a monthly basis. And we are truing up, if you will, to the information that the county gives to us and reviewing that information that the county gives to us.
So let me explain. If we had a Melrose, the Melrose would be assigned directly to a community. And whatever money came out of that is going to that community, period. We know where it is and what it is. But a park impact fee, we don't have that same specificity.
Correct.
I'm good.
Correct.